video by Oompaville that we're going to watch today.
Liar and fake in. Do you know who the biggest liar and fake in?
I'm going to guess Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal sucks. Simple to the point. It's nice.
In all of the world is, and I've been wanting to make a video about this. Some of the first videos I saw on YouTube were videos talking mad shit about this guy, and I've been wanting to do this for such a long time, but I've accidentally waited so long that he has become an idol of mine. He's the original John Wick, a man who is talented in not only the arts, but also guns and hand-to-hand combat, martial arts, a master of all arts. A man so mysterious, not even he himself knows where he comes from. From drug busts with the police to rubbing elbows with the president of the Russian state.
He actually goes into this. There was a whole thing where they loved him in Russia for whatever reason. I don't know why exactly. Maybe it's just like the bombastic, proud, fake sort of thing. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was there a whole kind of almost genre in Hollywood of like the kind of invincible action star? Because I remember watching the original like Indiana Jones, and I was thinking like what? He gets shot at all the time, and like he never gets hit. He's more insufferable than Superman. For the record, I do kind of like Indiana Jones more so these days. But like that was my original thought. He's just like, no, like goodness, like, yeah, that's stupid.
Man is truly an enigma of our time. His name is Steven.
To be fair, at that point, I hadn't actually watched a lot of action movies, so maybe this is kind of a suspension of belief that goes along with it that I hadn't really gotten into. Well, I hadn't really watched a lot of movies, period.
Frederick Seagal. Who the fuck is that? And it is quite literally impossible to separate fact from fiction in the story of Steven Seagal. Born to Patricia Ann Fisher and Samuel Seagal in Lansing, Michigan on April 10th, 2005.
You know, somehow there's no less remarkable thing than being born in the Midwest.
That's right, guys. He's Gen Alpha. Just kidding. He was born in 1952, so he's 72. He's 72 years old. He actually looks pretty good for being 72.
Not bad. A little bit pudgy, but you'd think he would have Ozempic at this point.
His father was a modern-day genius and a math teacher. He taught elementary school math, and his mother was a medical technician. His grandparents immigrated from Russia, and they would have a huge impact on him. My father comes from Vladivostok. We have family from Serbia. We have family from Belarus. Family from, apparently, St. Petersburg. So we just recently got the result of recent...
There's something about having people that come from someplace not European. Someplace not English or French or whatever, right? It gives an air of mystique, perhaps.
Genechek discovered genetically Buryat mixed with Yakutian people. Dude, this guy is fucking awesome. But what about other clips, though, that say different things? Put a different clip that he's like Mongolian. Put the Mongolian clip in there.
I'm a Russian Mongol. For example, my grandmother, who surely looks pure Mohawk. My mother was a Mohawk.
He was 5 when he moved to Fullerton, California, I guess from Russia. He also went to Fullerton College. He went from 70 to 1971. Okay. He dropped out. The reason he didn't stay in Fullerton College long was because at the age of 22, he moved to Japan to study martial arts. Just kidding. It was to avoid being drafted into the Vietnam War. Allegedly, I don't really know. That's the alleged reasoning. It's convenient timing, to be honest. You can't just go to Japan.
To be fair, I'm gonna guess he wouldn't really have to hide that fact. You could just spin it as, oh, I didn't approve of the war or whatever. Like I said, I don't know what exactly the people who didn't approve of the war were into. No, I feel like you could very easily these days just spin it and like, oh, no, I didn't want to do that. There were like a ton of people who protested that war. Probably more than
Japan, by the way, he was able to do this because he met his first wife, Miyako Fujitani, in California in 1974.
Okay, here's the question. Does his nose look like it's one of those that just kind of whoosh? There are people who have that type of nose where there's literally not a lot of thing in between. It just looks like it goes straight from the forehead down to the tip.
for and moved to Japan with her in October of that year. He's like, "Help!" While in Japan,
Not like his. His is a very distinctive angular shift. And there are people who literally, it just looks like their nose goes straight into their face.
Steven Seagal had 2 children, a son named Kentaro and a daughter named Ayoko. He would also teach at his father-in-law's Aikido dojo, guys. Pretty crazy stuff. His wife Miyoko was the daughter of an Osaka Aikido master who moved to the US to teach and open his own dojo. And while teaching at the dojo, Seagal would also earn his black belt in the Aikido discipline. This is like the master martial art. It's the ultimate martial art. I mean, listen to the way this man talks about it.
It wasn't until I was probably 16 or 17 before I started getting dangerous enough that if people wanted to start something, that they even, you know, if they were bigger and better, they were going to get hurt too. And
this is impressive. He's teaching, he's learning. He also would claim that he was a student of the creator of
Dangerous enough.
Osaka Aikido, Morihei Ueshiba. However, this is not possible. Ueshiba died in 1969 when Steven Seagal was 17 years old. That was 5 years before he moved to Japan.
Yeah, there's some master tracing of causality. No, I'm sorry, I'm not making fun of him. I'm just saying, like, if you were a little clever in your backstory creation, you would probably be a little bit more careful about where and when and how all this stuff happened.
This is one of the earliest instances of Steven Seagal just being a pathological liar to bolster his achievements in his life. And this is something that I love about him, and quite literally the only reason I'm making this video, because I've never seen someone lie so much. He's like Todd Howard, but for shit that's not fun and whimsical. So Todd gets away with it, all right? Todd gets a pass in my book.
Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies.
You sit on a throne of lies.
Furthermore, and to really
Just remember there's one Dude Perfect episode where they're, I think they're golfing or something. And literally the one guy keeps finding his ball. Yeah. You sit on the throne of lies, scumbag.
embarrass him, his wife once did an interview saying the only reason why Steven earned his black belt the day that he earned it was because the judge who judged him that day was very lazy and fell asleep during
I'm gonna guess they're not married still.
his presentation and just gave him the belt afterwards. That's awesome. Another lie that Steven Seagal has repeatedly told is that he helped train CIA agents in Japan. He claims that they had seen and knew of his abilities and they agreed to
You know, it feels like the whole, like, CIA, Black Ops, whatever, is like kind of the perfect cover for anything like that. Because you're effectively like, oh no, I can't talk about it, but, you know, this stuff definitely happened. No one who would know would talk about it. So, like, it's like a really good cover story as far as, like, fabricating some sort of fake background. Because it can't really be investigated. It's just this type of nebulous, oh yeah, I did this stuff in such and such a place. You don't have to really say what time or whatever. You don't have to be specific about anything. You can just fly on through.
let him help them train. These guys were my students. They saw my abilities, both with martial arts and with the
Abilities.
language. You can say that I became an advisor to several CIA agents in the field, and through my friends in the CIA, I met very many powerful people and did special works and special favors.
But there's an interesting group of folks that, you know, are kind of some in the shadows and some in the light. And I was friends with all those guys for a long time.
Once again, Steven Seagal's wife that refuted these claims. Seagal also claimed that he fought off Japanese Yakuzas. His wife refuted that as well.
I grew up in a very, very dangerous area, an area that was all gangsters, Yakuza, fighting every day.
Stop the cap.
The Yakuza of Fullerton, California. Steven didn't stay in Japan for very long. He had
Dangerous people.
a dream to become a movie
Saw them in a sitcom or something.
star. He moved back to America and he used his wife's income to fund this dream. His biggest hater, honestly, his wife. He was so adamant about returning to the US
Sorry, I'll try to cut those out.
that he withheld basic necessities from his wife and kids so they could save money to leave Japan. Pretty awesome. But eventually he got what he wanted and moved to the celebrity epicenter of Taos, New Mexico in the early 1980s. He moved back with one of his students,
You know what's a weird thing? A pimp is basically just a more successful ponce. A ponce is a man who's kept by a woman who, I guess, I think it's kind of a older woman, generally speaking. And then, you know, a pimp is just someone who's more successful. They're kept by multiple women who they abuse.
Greg Dunn. They opened a dojo, but Steven Seagal was
That's why I like it. Feels like the whole notion of Tate being some sort of alpha Chad when he literally had women taking care of him, more or less. It's just like, okay, yeah, sure.
trying to be a movie star, and he wasn't present in the dojo much. Then Seagal went back to Japan, and then went back and opened a dojo in North Hollywood. This dojo he left one of his students in charge of and also would eventually fail. Seagal failed and failed and failed, saw some success in martial arts, and then finally in 1987, he was a part of his first film, Above the Law.
You're above the law. You ain't above mine.
Above the law.
Oh my gosh, he's a legend. This movie pretty much...
I'm going to say something that's controversial. Didn't really get into much of the Bond movies, but that's kind of why I didn't like the Bond movies either. There's this type of can't do no wrong, can't get beaten type of individual. Just didn't like it. You know, and also...
launched his career. It had decent reviews, and he appeared in 3 more films very closely after that. Hard to Kill, a good film that I used to love as a child. I've seen all these movies. Mark?
It feels like this is kind of the male version of women choosing what they believe to be like really deep names. You ever notice like the idea that I think strippers would always like choose, not that again, it's not my area of expertise, okay, but strippers tend to choose like kind of etheric or what they think are deep names. This is that. This is like a male stripper who, you know, wants to look cool.
For Death, Out for Justice. This is also the first time we see Steven Seagal run,
Sorry, I might cut that out.
which is a huge part of his career. I don't know how you run like this. Like, how do you even start that? How does that even happen? His whole message, his whole
It's a little bit like
run like this. Like, how do you even start that? How does that even happen? His whole message, his whole...
kind of runs like a girl a little bit. No offense to the girl runners out there. I'm sure you're very good at what you do for a girl. But they do have a kind of a strange running style.
influence online, as far as I can remember, is him running. I mean, that's like the main thing. It's funny. Look at the way he runs. The guy runs weird. This guy's like, who's the red-haired guy? This guy's like Chuck Norris for...
Did Chuck Norris have red hair? I did not know that. Yeah, Chuck Norris feels like he was another one of this kind of genre of... Well, technically, I think Chuck Norris would have gotten beat. You know, there's a thing where Dwayne Johnson, I think, put it into his contracts that in his movies, he cannot be beat up in fights or something like that. I think that was him anyways. It's kind of a weird sort of... not perfidious. What's the word I'm looking for? Fastidious. Fastidious sort of dandy brat behavior.
I don't know. I said a different word, but I can't say it. So this guy's like Chuck Norris for cave dwellers. All of his movies had mediocre receptions. They weren't flops, they weren't failures, but they did okay. He eventually hosted an episode of SNL in 1991.
I hope you'll forgive me for being a little bit serious, but it's important to me to let you know that there's a lot more to Steven Seagal in the martial arts.
And usually this is a massive achievement and like it's like a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Like, it's a huge deal. But it was a nightmare for him, and
I feel like it was at one point. These days, again, I guess I don't know, watch a lot of SNL, but I feel I've heard through the grapevine or the, you know, I feel I've heard it's kind of tanked a little bit as far as quality.
also the actors. And Steven Seagal, as a result of this appearance, is considered to be one of the worst, if not the worst, SNL host, literally of all time. It was so bad that it was scrubbed entirely from the internet.
I think Dougie here needs a soda.
He didn't like any of the jokes written for him, according to Tim Meadows, Lorne Michaels, and David Spade. He had a terrible sense of humor.
And Seagal's an idiot, in addition to everything else, and has no sense of humor. conditioned.
Oh,
Everything else.
Christ.
Great fit for the
Yeah.
show.
So
Perfect.
he goes. He literally does this.
No. Point of interest. It feels like a self-aware idiot can still be effective, even though they're not as competent as other people. But this guy, like, he doesn't seem to have a lot of self-awareness going on. Sorry, Steven Seagal, not this guy.
He says, "I have an idea for a sketch."
Oh, dear.
Okay. Okay, so I'm a psychiatrist, and Victoria, that's Victoria Jackson, comes in, and I'm her psychiatrist, and I hypnotize her, and I have sex with her, and then
That's called rape,
at the end, I tell her she's got to come
I think. Anyway, they get weird with that stuff in movies. Never mind.
back every week.
He also outright refused a certain skit because the main character had previously said that they could beat Seagal up.
I was helping with Hans and Franz that week. Yeah, I didn't usually help with that piece, but I love those guys. And Seagal read it, and he said, "If I do this sketch, if I do it," and they want to fight him. Hey, we'll take you on. He goes, "If I do it, I have to beat them up."
The guy has the most fragile ego. It's incredible.
Do you know Van Damme?
It's a rugged, delicate flower. Click if you know where that is. Click the like button if you know where that's from.
No. You've heard of him, right? I mean, he was like a champion somewhere.
I think that that's a matter of opinion, that he was a champion anywhere. You know.
So stupid. He's such a fucking...
I think he was talking about Van Damme there. I think Van Damme actually did kickboxing at one point. I don't know if it was professionally or whatever. No.
liar, dude.
What a fucking liar, dude. What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude. What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude.
So the SNL thing was bad. In 1992, he acted in a movie called Under Siege, and it was basically Die Hard on a battleship, and it was a box office success. It made $120 million in profit, and it's been called one of the best movies of the 1990s, which is not true, but I do like the movie. I do. There's a lot of good movies in the 1990s. Right after this, he directed his own film called On Deadly Ground. Failure. Then came the peak of his career in the mid-1990s, Under Siege 2, Dark Territory. It was more successful than the first. From there, it was all downhill. I don't know why these movies were so successful. I like.
It feels like there are types of individuals where until people catch on to the fact that they're just kind of like a one-trick pony, it's kind of interesting. But after you see the pattern, it's just kind of like, oh, okay, this is, same song, different verse. It becomes incredibly boring.
Hard to kill better. After this point, film became terrible.
Also, people who take themselves too seriously are kind of insufferable.
For Seagal, and it was just failure after failure after failure. The Macho Man routine wouldn't last very long.
All right. Crash and burn. That's a good place to end it. He got what was his. No, sorry. I hope he, learns the error of his ways and whatnot. But yeah, that's what a guy, what a fellow. All right, Steven Seagal Sucks by Oompaville TV. You can go check it out if you want. All right, bye.